Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migration to Australia or perhaps study abroad in Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to our channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the information news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insights from this channel. Alright, as per some of the subscribers or friends and fans requests in regards to getting an explanation in detail from the state of Victoria of its skill migration. So in this video, I would like to concentrate on the state of Victoria. Now, a little bit of background, obviously due to 2020 COVID-19, the state of Victoria was the state that was devastated, impacted by the pandemic. If you follow the news, predominantly most number of the contracted personnel were based in Victoria. So obviously Victoria has come back and obviously amend and change some of their policy and criteria in reflect to the recovery of its economy of the state of Victoria, which also include the city of Melbourne. So it's a little bit in compared to with other states, it does have some disadvantage that but it actually expelled or had a little bit of the consequences of its domestic residents who had decided to leave the state of Victoria and Melbourne, where they have relocated themselves to perhaps in New South Wales or Queensland. So obviously the state of Victoria is looking to boost what it has been disadvantaged of. But let's have a look what it's actually there and what the state of Victoria offer for its skill migration program. So let's go into the first page and I'll read through, explains, and then we will jump into how the process works and obviously how it will affect Subclass 491 and 190. So first of all, it's a little bit brief of what had happened, and obviously it's in response to the challenge, as what I have just previously mentioned. They require, now the state of Victoria requires you to register your interest within the state Victoria's migration program, in addition to your expression of interest that you have lodged in the skill select system. So what they call is registration of interest, or ROI. So if you're interested about migrate to Victoria, then you need to do two things. One is you lodge and submit your EOI, and secondly, you register your interest and submit an ROI. So you need to do two of them together. Now the process is pretty self-explanatory. You need to do your EOI. So first up here, you can see one, and secondly, you put your ROI, submit your registration of interest into Victoria. Then they will evaluate and they will select you, invite you, submit a document, pay for the Victoria's nominations costs, and then obviously once they approve, then you will lodge it to Department of Home Affairs for the official visa applications. And what I'm going to do is I will take you to go through all this detail and go into the detail of subclasses 491 and also 190 in detail. Okay, now let's go first to the registration of interest. Now, so either you're gonna do 491 or 190, you require to do this. Now there is a submission window. It's a little bit different to other states. So Victoria will only accept ROI lodged within the submission window below. Okay, so you need to make sure you don't want to lodge your ROI outside of these windows, then you will possibly miss out the opportunity to be assessed or to be picked up or to be invited. So currently we're sitting at today is the 8th of February. So today is the last date. I believe that's already ended. So the next round, next window will be March 2nd and to the 8th of March. So basically the first week, the first 5 working days of the month, that's the window that they open. And in April, obviously, will be the first week again in the May, and that's currently where it sits. So make sure you, when you want to submit your ROI, it has to be sitting in the window, within that window of time or period. Now, EOI doesn't really matter as long as you have submit your EOI online. That's all good. Why do I need to submit register of interest? Well, pretty obvious, because if you don't submit it, state of Victoria won't nominate you, won't pick your stuff up. So you just have to do it. How do I submit? Okay, so first of all, you put your EOI in. So that's again first thing. You need to go to Skill Select System and put your EOI in. And with your EOI reference ID, then you will create the registration of interest and select either it's going to be 190 or 491, and then submit your ROI to the state of Victoria. Okay, that's pretty simple stuff. You don't have, that doesn't really need to need too much of extra details there. Now let's go into detail of each skill migration. So let's jump into 190 first. Now obviously 190 is the most preferred state nomination program because it grants and approves straight away, then you get a permanent residency without requirement of further residency criteria or employment criteria. But the threshold is actually higher than 491. So if you cannot meet the 190 criteria, then you will be suggested or advised to do the 491. So obviously you need to do your EOI and you need to do your ROI, and you have to be age below 45. That's same as any other state, and that's the mandatory criteria within the skill migration. Now English must have a competent English level that's equivalent to IELTS 6, cross of full bands, and you need to upload copies and blah blah blah. Okay, that's please ensure that your English result is valid at least 12 weeks at the time of submitting a visa nomination. So they want a very updated English test. Now that's going to be a problem here because during the last year there's a lot of delays and postponements due to the pandemic. Now so that obviously 2021 shouldn't have any delay, but that's wrong because there's so many people queuing up to actually get this done. So if you go and book for IELTS test, you might probably booking into next month or the month next. Then that will cause the problem because, as you know, ROI has a window of submission of lodgements. So you need to control that. So that's where we are. We want to make this transparent to everybody and to know more. So residency, you need to be at least living in Victoria already. So they only want onshore application. Any offshore applicant of interest should really aim after July 2021, because that's where a new financial year will start. Whether or not they will implement offshore invitations, we'll see how it goes. Okay, you're required to provide evidence of residency, so that's including your lease, bond, or if you own the house, you need to provide rates and the bill. So bill like telephone, mobile phone, internet bill, utility, water, electricity bill, that can all prove your residency there, because you were not likely to pay something and you're not living there, obvious, but you can. But again, no one's gonna really do that. Anyway, employment. Now this is really tricky. They only want highly skilled occupation in health and medical research, which support Victoria economic recovery or health response for the past 6 months. So that's an applicant with a track record of commercializing innovative idea and bringing them to the market also be highly regarded. So it's very limited occupation. The occupation only focus on medical and health, or if you're an inventor, then that's another case. Now, if you're an international student graduates and PhD applicant who meets the criteria, are also encouraged to apply. So again, that's meeting a criteria. What is the criteria? Criteria is what they had just mentioned above. And if you're a nurse, please know that you only be nominated applicant following nurse application. So they only want these type of nurses. There, I know that there's all other type of nurses. They only want these type of nurses. They don't want anyone else. So and you need to meet the departmental list of nomination as well. But again, health and the medical is what the focus. That's all focused on 190. Anything else? Not really. Accountant, no. Civil engineer, no. I don't think so. So that's the drawback of Victoria's skill migration currently. Your employment need to show evidence of contract, pay slips, superannuation contribution, current position descriptions, and your employment detail. Obviously, you need to get skill assessed. Please ensure that your skill assessment is valid for at least 12 months at a time. 12 weeks, again, that's another hard part. So it's going to be very, very limited people. So if you're, although the validity of your IELTS and your skill assessment should normally be 3 years, okay, but the state of Victoria for subclass 190, they only want a validity of 12 weeks. Now that's going to be very, very hard. That will kick a lot of interest away. You need to have, there are no financial requirement, okay, and your commitment to Victoria, sign and provide your CV, done, and the process, let's just really reiterate again, you need to get a EOI, and then go ROI, and then you receive an email, and once they're ready, they like you, they'll ask you to pay. Once that's done, then they will approve you, and then you submit to Department of Immigration or Home Affairs. So that's basically it. Now, what if you cannot meet subclass 190 for the state of Victoria as a criteria? Then there is another options on the skilled work regional provisional visa subclass 491. Now, this will give you temporary visa of 5 years, and within that 5 years, as long as you have made 3 years of employment conditions, which requires you to meet at least an annual earning of 53,900, and you'll be able to transfer yourself to a permanent residency under subclass 191. Okay, so it's actually not bad, and it does give you some benefit of what a permanent resident of Australia could actually receive and benefit. Now, let's have a look. What is the differences here? So if you're not in medical, if you're not in health, what can you do? And you're also under 45, pretty obvious. And your English level is required to be at 6 at least. And please ensure, again, 12 weeks. Now, that's a hard bit. Again, anyway, residency only requires you to be, now, you cannot live in the city of Melbourne. You have to be in regional Victoria. So that's about an hour away from the center of Melbourne. And you need to be there at least 3 months. So, for example, where the University of Deakin is at the Geelong, that's regional. And if you go further east or north, that's all, as long as about an hour away from the city of Melbourne. Now, you need to show again your lease, the bills showing your electricity payment, internet payment, utility payment to show your residency there. Now, the important part here, employment and occupation. You have to be employed. You've already been working in regional Victoria in the highly skilled occupation in, okay, here we go, health, medical research, life scientists, agri-food, or digital sector, and your role must have either have been supporting Victoria economic recovery and or health response for at least past 3 months. Okay, again, I expanded a little bit more. It includes the life sciences and agri-food and the digital sector. International student, graduates, and PhD applicant who meets eligibility criteria are also encouraged to apply. Applicant a track record commercializing that, so that basically is the same. So basically, meant you study in Victoria, you graduated from those sectors, you'll be able to apply, provided you have shown residency and you've been working in those professions. So you need to show, okay, you need to show your contract, payments, pay slips, superannuation again. So all the document to show that you actually been working and employed in the sector. Please note, this is where you are working must be active in operation in regional Victoria last 2 years. Now, what if this business innovative business startup only started end of last year? Can't do it. Okay, has to locate in designated regional area. So that's regional area in Victoria. So skill assessment, again, valid for at least 12 weeks. So you can see the problem here that we are looking here is that the Victoria is really tightening up with its skill migration pathway, whereby not just the IELTS skill assessment has to all be very, very updated, okay, very, very updated, and in a specific numbers of sectors only, okay, and they don't want anything else. And that's a problem here. Genuine intention to live and work in designated regional area, declaration, CV, and you apply. Again, that's all the process once again. So that's all the same with 190. So, summarize, the state of Victoria is open for its state migration program, but due to what it had happened on the pandemic last year, it's very, very limited. It only wants very limited category of occupations, and plus it has a very narrow windows of submissions. Generally is the first week of the month until May, and they require very, very updated IELTS and skill assessment. So if you have done your skill assessment last year, sorry, they will not accept it. If you have done your IELTS test last year, they will not accept it. They want something very, very current. How do you feel, and what is your thought about the state of Victoria's skill migration program? Leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.